Yep. All right, so we will go ahead and get started. I just heard from Frank and he's having a little bit of difficulty, so he's not going to actually be able to join us right now. But so welcome to everybody. This is amazing. We've got 3 pages worth of people signed on right now, so I can't see all of your beautiful faces, but I can see most of them if I scroll back and forth. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to give a short presentation just about the STEM pathways and give you guys a little bit of kind of the philosophical background of the pathways, how we got started, all that good stuff, and just overall welcome you guys to the group. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can everyone see that? Well, I can't see your head nods, so I'm assuming y'all can see that. Yeah, so the STEM pathway started originally in 2016 with about 100 students, and you'll see in just a minute how far we've grown. So the STEM pathways is in a group on campus or a program on campus called the Gordon A. Kane Center. So that's where I work, Fernando, Jesse, and the rest of the crew, Stephen Campen, all of the leads for this, we are all under this Kane Center umbrella. And so the Kane Center on campus is in charge of several different things. So the main one that the Kane Center started off with was our dual enrollment program. So some of you guys I know are some of our facilitators for our dual enrollment program. So that's the bread and butter of the Kane Center, and that started in about 2005. And then in 2016, the STEM pathways came on the scene. And like I said, we'll talk a lot more about the STEM pathways, but already in just 6 years, we went from serving 100 students to over 7,000 students in our STEM pathways course. So the growth, dual enrollment started in 2005, and now 15 plus years later, we're serving about 6,000 students, but the STEM pathways has already exceeded that number. And that's because it's not just serving those kids who are at the upper tier who are taking those dual enrollment courses. We're really here to serve all of the students. The third pillar of the STEM pathways is what we call experiential learning. So this is kind of our other bucket. Okay, so our other bucket, we do lots of other things, lots of small projects. Some of those small projects become really big. Upward Bound is a big program that recently moved to the administration in the Kane Center. We have the Regional STEM Center that's hosted here. So the different regions each have their own regional STEM center. We've got Go Teach, which I know some of you are Go Teach graduates. So very familiar with Go Teach, but that's our teacher preparation program where college students can earn a degree in math and their teaching certification, apprenticeships, summer camps, the list goes on and on. But we do a lot of projects in the Kane Center, but our 2 primary ones are dual enrollment and the STEM pathways. And most of that is built on a foundation of research and grants. So LSU is a Research One institution. And so, we're founded on research. A lot of what we do is research. So sometime today or tomorrow, you'll probably be asked to sign a consent form to allow us to give you guys a survey that asks you to evaluate your teaching practice, your attitude towards math or science, STEM kind of things. And that's so that we can study, like, how effective is our professional development? What are the teachers getting out of it? How can we demonstrate that these things are effective? And that's so that we can either write grants to ask for money to support our work, or to support work that we've already received a grant for. And some of you guys who are on this call are part of some of our grants that we're currently working on. So you might hear the term BR Bites or micro-credentialing. So those are 2 grants that we've gotten that have really supported the STEM pathways and allowed us to grow. So that's a little bit about the Kane Center and what we do in the programs that are housed in the Kane Center. Also, if anyone has any questions, y'all can pop them in the chat, and I would ask if maybe Jesse or somebody who's on the team could kind of monitor the chat for me and let me know if there are any questions. All right, so the STEM pathways, we set out with the goal to increase access and equity for all students to enroll in quality STEM pathways. And the way that we did that is by doing these three things that you see on the screen. So we wanted to build teacher STEM experts, design a quality curriculum, and create not just individual courses, but a pathway for students. There's lots of research out there that shows that if you go to a training on how to do project-based learning, but it's in isolation, it's not really like teaching you your curriculum in a project-based learning, that it's somewhat effective, but not terribly effective. Or if you're just handed a curriculum and you're not given any sort of meaningful professional development on it, again, it can help, but it's not super effective. The best way to implement something new into your classroom is to have the curriculum and the specialized training that goes along with that that curriculum, so that you can have the most impact in your classroom. So we're really excited that you guys are here, whether you've chosen to be here or whether you've been voluntold to come. We hope that you'll really get something out of it and be able to reach those students. So when we talk a lot about access and equity, and sometimes that's not always defined. So this was a really neat way of describing it. We want to have low floors. So STEM is not just about reaching the highest achieving students. This is really trying to get everybody interested. So you'll see in our courses, especially in the introductory level courses, there's not a whole lot of hard math and science. Okay, it's going to be Algebra 1 based. We're reinforcing those concepts that they're going to see, but we really want to make that floor low so that the students get engaged. We hook them, we get them excited, get them interested, and then the kids can grow from there. But if you have that initial entry point too high, you lose some of the kids who can really benefit from it. High ceilings, we don't want the ceiling to be something that they can achieve really easily. We want there to really be no ceiling, honestly, right? So the sky is the limit. So you'll see in a lot of our curriculum that there is significant differentiated learning. So we have a minimum, like we want all the kids to be able to do this, but here's like 7 other ways that you can let the kids explore and go above and beyond. And then wide walls. You know, we don't want to just reach one school in one district. We want this to be accessible to everybody, whether you're rural, urban, suburban, inner city, outer city, all the cities, towns, villages, come one, come all. We want to make sure that this is for everybody. So that's, with that in mind, you'll see that there's a lot of scaffolding, a lot of differentiated learning opportunities built into the curriculum. Here's some numbers, just so you guys can see our growth. I told you we started with 100 students at one school, and we're now serving 6,994 seats. And I think that number actually went up because a lot of people sent in their rosters a little bit late after this slide was made. But we are serving a diverse group of individuals. I love seeing 42% females. That's awesome. That's a really high number for STEM. I wish I had put the teacher numbers down here. I think we have about 130 teachers currently implementing STEM pathway courses. So really, really good stuff. So one of the things that I'm doing in my research is trying to understand STEM a little bit better. We throw the word STEM around, and like, really, what is STEM and how do you define success? And really what the research tells us and what the literature tells us is that there are 2 ways by which you can define success in your program. The first is learning and achievement, and the second is interest and identity. And so learning and achievement is end of course test scores, it's ACT test scores, it's, you know, those really tangible measures of learning and achievement. Identity and interest is really much more subjective. It's how has their attitude changed towards STEM? How are they now more interested in STEM? You know, and you really have to have that interest there, because if it's not there, they're not going to want to do it, because interest really boils down to, can I do something and do I want to do something? And if both pieces aren't there, then you kind of have a failure, right? So like, I can mow my lawn, but I don't want to mow my lawn. Therefore, I pay my high school kid in the neighborhood to mow my lawn for me, because both pieces are not there. And so my interest is not high enough in mowing my lawn to make me want to do it myself. And so our goal for interest is really to get the kids to see, I can do this and I want to do this. So you'll see our introductory level courses focus a lot on identity and interest with a sprinkling of learning and achievement. And I'm going to show you where we kind of have that alignment to state standards and to those core courses. But, you know, that's a secondary piece, right? With one exception, which is the ICT course, where Algebra 1 really is a very strong focus of that course. But I would say that in general, our main goal in our entry-level courses is to get the kids excited. We want them to throw their backpack in the corner, and this is like their best class of the day. They're so excited. And oh, by the way, they're learning a lot of cool stuff. The problem is it's not always tested stuff. You know, I mean, so building a circuit and knowing how electricity works, that's not tested on any state test, okay? But they're still learning math and science. So this is kind of the philosophy for us, is having a combination of learning and achievement and identity and interest in STEM. So some of the essential pathway elements, the main two that we have that go across all of our pathways are computational thinking and 21st century skills. So we have an entire class dedicated to computational thinking, but it's also sprinkled in every one of our courses. Learning how to think logically, learning how to communicate with a computer, really having those critical thinking skills in terms of a computer is highly important in this day and age. I think it's way more important than knowing how many cycles of lava there are on a volcano when you live in Louisiana and we've never seen a volcano in your life. Okay, so some of those skills, again, that aren't necessarily tested on state tests, but that are really important. And then the 21st century skills, being able to present, being able to write a good lab report, being able to document your code, being able to put together an exposition for digital media, really being able to communicate with your patients if you're in biomed, right? Those are really important skills, regardless of what your discipline is. So those are kind of the core foundation of all of the pathways. I'm going to kind of click through this one a little quickly because we've already kind of talked about it, but the main core is, first, we're student-centered. We want to make sure that we're improving the attitude and we're improving learning. For you guys, the teachers, we haven't talked about you guys that much. We want to increase your content knowledge. So over the course of the next 12 or 24 days, we're going to increase your content knowledge. We're going to give you guys what you need to be successful, but we're also going to increase your pedagogical content knowledge. So if you don't know what the difference is, one is knowing the material and one is knowing how to teach that material to somebody else. I think we've all probably had that experience where someone is so smart, but like they just are not good at communicating that information to somebody else. And so then all that really smartness doesn't get communicated down. So we're going to really focus on that content knowledge and the pedagogical content knowledge. Standards we're going to talk about in a second, but we do have alignment to both traditional academic standards as well as industry-based standards. And then at the end of the day, industry-based credentials are really important to the students, to the teachers, to the schools, because of school performance points. And we'll see those in just a second. So basically, you're going to be teaching one of the courses in one of these three buckets. So Introduction to STEM Pathways and Careers is our basic career readiness course that's available. It's a high school course, just like Quest for Success or Journeys to Careers is, but it is available for students to take in 7th or 8th grade. Then students are going to take 4 foundational skills in one pathway. So, each of the pathway has 4 core courses. And if this is all kind of like, whoa, where did this come from? This is all part of the Jumpstart progression of courses. And then this is where we kind of branch. So everyone takes those 4 courses in one pathway, because I don't care if you're taking calculus as a freshman or algebra 1 as a freshman, you've probably never created an app, or you've probably never built a parallel circuit, or you've probably never created a movie using proper storytelling. You've probably never done a suture, so it doesn't matter where your math and science skills are. Those foundational skills are going to be important to those students. Then you can branch off, and your TOPS university kids might fill their 8-course progression with some advanced AP, dual enrollment, math and science, computer science courses. Or if you're a traditional Jumpstart TOPS Tech student, you might take some of those other courses like welding or carpentry, electrical, ag science, all those different courses. So our courses have their own progression, their own pathway, but they're also intersprinkled into all of the Jumpstart pathways. So I have a whole crosswalk if you're interested to know if the course that you're being trained in this summer also counts towards the IT pathway, or the agriculture and or architecture and construction, or any of the 11 traditional Jumpstart pathways, but there is quite a lot of crossover. So I talked about how we do have some standards alignment. So those of you who are taking Introduction to Computational Thinking, you're in for a real treat, because this class is really going to help the kids see the connection between math and coding. Okay, so coding is a tool to accomplish something, but there's a lot of math involved in it, and that math really aligns very closely with Algebra 1 in this course. And so we are not claiming to be a Tier 1 curriculum. We are not claiming to be an Algebra 1 curriculum, okay? This is like an enhancement to the Algebra 1 curriculum. And some of you guys are part of a grant where we're trying to prove that. We're trying to really, we think it, we believe it, we've seen it anecdotally, but we're going through the process of formalizing those results to show that this course really can help students who might struggle in math, when you're talking about, regular functions and it's just this complete abstract situation, maybe you don't really get it, but when you put it to code, you really see it. So let's look at an example. So you're going to use a program to code on an XY plane. So they're learning X and Y and the coordinate system to draw a triangle. Okay, then they're going to rotate it and translate it and rotate it around to create a star. Okay, then they're going to add a function. Okay, so instead of having to hard code each of those, they're going to use a function that's going to repeat lines of code. Okay, and then finally, they're going to use variables so that instead of having to code each one of those functions, 90 times 1, 90 times 2, 90 times 3, 90 times 4, we're going to do it times n so that they can see that that's repeated. Okay, so using math to do coding shows them a tangible way that these functions actually work in real life. And from there, they're going to go to this. So those of you who are taking ICT, basically what I showed you was a small little snippet, but then they take that, expand it, grow it, and make these really cool graphics, which relate to their core courses as well. So there's so much integration between these courses, and the students really do some cool things. And all of this, they're learning math along the way. And maybe this is slightly more interesting than learning about, functions in a traditional way in that Algebra 1 class. Principles of Engineering is another one. So this one actually does count as a core physical science course. And so they're studying the disciplines in engineering. And instead of framing things in a traditional physical science standpoint, we're framing them in terms of an engineering design problem. So here's just a quick example of that. In the mechanical engineering unit, these are the standards that we address. They do so by learning about simple machines, Newton's laws, kinetic and potential energy. They do research, they do pre-activity, they do homework, and then the final project is a Rube Goldberg machine. So if you don't know what a Rube Goldberg machine is, it's a machine that does something very simple in a very, very complex way. So like to pick up your napkin might be a 37-step process. And so these are some of the examples of the Rube Goldberg. Okay, so they're doing an egg drop challenge, but they're learning about motion, simple machines. There's certain requirements that they have to have. Anyway, so again, doing those physical science standards, but doing them in a different application. We have math and science and Common Core standards built into all of our courses. So again, We're not claiming to be a biology class or a geometry class, but we do have those standards built into most of the lessons. And the main goal is that interest and identity. Oh, and by the way, here's some learning outcomes that they can achieve. And I do want to mention this says just math and science, but a lot of our digital media courses also have a lot of connections to art, obviously. So real quickly, the way that this works to give access to high quality STEM curriculum and to get you guys to be content and pedagogy content experts, it's got to start at the bottom. So administrative buy-in. So a lot of you guys are here because your administrators have bought into this program and they find that it has value. If you don't have administrative buy-in, this is like an uphill battle for you guys. So if you're the one person at your school who like begged your administrators to send you here this summer to get trained, you got a long road ahead of you, but we're here to support you guys. So if you don't have strong administrative buy-in, please let us know because we're happy to meet with them and talk to them. If you're here because your administrators were the ones who were super excited and they were like, hey, here's this opportunity, I need you to go, then that's awesome because they're gonna be able to buy the supplies for you. They're fully supporting you from a scheduling standpoint, all those good things. A lot of what I've talked about so far is at the high school level, but we know that high school is too late. And so you really, you might start in high school and work your way down. That's what we did when we created the pathways, because that's where the money is. That's where that CTE, CDF money lives. But we really have to start lower than that if you really want to start making an impact. But it's okay to roll your way down, or maybe you're rolling your way up, depends. But we want to, you know, in that elementary level, we know that there are not dedicated STEM classes for the most part. So it's really focused on how you can integrate take an existing lesson and reframe it in an engineering frame of mind. Middle school, here we've got options for you to do that same thing, to take existing ELA, history, social studies class or activities and turn them into STEM related activities. Or we do have a dedicated class. So if you have room in your schedule at the middle school level, you can incorporate those courses. And then we also have some high school credit courses that can be offered in middle school. And then at high school, that's where we've already gotten their interest, we've already gotten them thinking, we already have those foundational critical thinking, project-based learning skills. And then at high school level, we're really saying, okay, now you're going to kind of pick a concentration, pick a discipline, pick a major, if you want to put it in terms of college words, and you know, really start to get some targeted content. The students really benefit from this from a number of ways. So I mentioned industry-based credentials at the beginning. All of the pathways have some credentials built in. I would say biomedical is probably the weakest, just because a lot of those credentials require you to be a certain age and require a certain amount of really in the field training. So we're working on that. We're trying to get some more credentials added. Computing, digital media, and engineering all have various options for industry-based credentials. So the credential depends on which class you're taking. Some of them require multiple courses. So I know this digital media portfolio will require students to participate in multiple digital media courses so that they can put together a meaningful portfolio. Apprenticeships and experiential learning. So this is something we're really trying to grow right now through our regional STEM center. And to get those kids really out there, out in the field, doing meaningful work their senior year in high school. Dual enrollment. So we've got our traditional dual enrollment, you know, your math, chemistry, calculus, but then we also have some specialized courses that are available for the students to take for real college credit. So that's really exciting stuff. And then the last thing that the benefit to the students is they can earn a silver or a gold STEM endorsement. So silver endorsements means that they've taken those 4 core courses in one discipline, and they're going to be eligible to apply for a scholarship to come here to LSU A&M campus. And a gold endorsement means that they've completed a total of 8 courses. And then we have some gold scholarships. I think this one's like $750 and this one's $1,500. So they're not big cash awards, but it's money in their pocket to do that. And we have a lot of students who are pursuing those silver and gold STEM endorsements. I'm not going to read this to you. We'll post a copy of this presentation and of the recording, but the students, when you hear from them, it's really magical. They have such a good experience with these courses. All right, so how does it benefit you guys, the teachers? Well, like I mentioned, content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, we're here for you. Okay, so we're going to support you guys to make sure that those two pieces are addressed. And then also we provide you guys with a complete curriculum. So our goal is that you guys do not have to do much lesson planning. You might have to prep supplies and materials and obviously like review the material, but we're giving you everything that you would need to be successful in the classroom. And part of that is ongoing support during the school year. So at the end of these 12 or 24 days, we don't say like, bye, see ya. We support you guys throughout the whole first year that you're teaching it and beyond, right? But that first year, we provide Saturday professional developments or sometimes weekday professional developments where you can hear from existing teachers. You can say, hey, this project, like I tried this and it was a complete failure. Does anyone have any ideas of how you did it in your classroom so I could do it better? Or I'm really struggling with grouping, talk about different grouping strategies to help your kids be most successful. So we support you guys throughout the year. I think Chris Lang is on this call. I can't tell you the number of times Chris has texted me asking questions. Okay, so we are here to support you guys. Sorry, Chris, for calling you out, but Chris, I love that. It's fabulous because I know he's engaged. I know he's interested and he's really working to help those students. So the professional development is not one-dimensional. It's not come, sit, sleep while we're talking and go off and teach. Like you're going to go through the course just like your students are. You're going to take tests just like your students will. Okay, so this is not a sleeping through professional development. It's not one-dimensional. We support you guys throughout the implementation. Also, you have the opportunity, some of these classes are dual enrollment courses. And so if the course that you're being trained in is offered as a dual enrollment course, you would have the opportunity to become a certified dual enrollment teacher for those courses. We've got two different models. One is our primary LSU A&M model. And then we are piloting some courses through the LSU system where we're taking asynchronous online courses offered through LSU A, E, and S, and trying to make you guys a coach for those models. So if you're interested in dual enrollment, come find me through Zoom or send me an email. But as a teacher, you would potentially have that opportunity depending on the course that you're teaching. And again, our teachers love it. I think some of these teachers are going to be on the teacher panel tomorrow. Actually, I'm not sure if any of these are, but if you've been teaching 6 sections of geometry for the last 5 years and you're just like super burnt out, this is a way to refresh. Like it kind of can really reinvigorate you for that love of teaching that maybe has waned a little bit, especially during this COVID era, where it maybe hasn't been as fun as it once was. So the teachers really see value in it, and you'll hear it from them tomorrow. I mentioned some grant opportunities. We'll have an entire session dedicated to grants and kind of general grants and how you can get them, and then also specific research grants that LSU has been awarded. So to close out, obviously you guys are taking the first step by being here for the training as far as how to start or expand an LSU pathway at your school. But really, if you were the driving force, you, the teacher, were like, I want to do this, and you don't have your administrative, real administrative buy-in, like, let us help you. Let us talk to your district, your school administrators, and explain to them why it's super awesome for you guys to get involved. If you're starting only at the high school, consider working your way down. The school is going to complete an MOU, so you guys are all here because your school has submitted a memorandum of understanding to participate. You guys are now attending the training. And then the last step would be, in August, your kids will enroll in the courses, and then they will work their way through the courses with support from us to earn certificates of course completion from us. That is it. So these are the contact information for all of our pathway coordinators. And again, I apologize that Dr. Newbrander wasn't able to be here this morning, but he is our fearless leader who is really the brains of the operation and makes all of this happen. So hopefully you'll get to meet him at some point. Anyway, so that is the end of our spiel of what is the Pathways, why are you here, what are you getting out of it? So I'll open the floor to questions if there are any.
May we have the slide presentation?
Yes, so that's a great question. So I will post both the recording and the slide deck. I will post it on the MiloNote page. So let me just make sure everyone knows how to get to the MiloNote page. So this is our MiloNote page, okay, and the tiny URL is a little bit easier to copy, paste, and type in. So I'll paste that into the chat. Oh, I see Jesse also just posted it. So this is where we're going to put pathway-wide announcements. So you can see here the opening welcome presentation card. I'm going to link in a recording of the presentation and a link to the slide deck once the recording has finished. It usually takes 2 or 3 hours to process a recording, so look for that no later than tomorrow morning. But yeah, so this is where we'll be hosting kind of our everybody needs to know information, and then each of the separate pathways has boards where you can find information specific to those courses. So we'll be posting that here, and then I also want to point out that we have our Tuesday and Thursday sessions. So every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 1, we're inviting everyone back to this room. So this room is our all pathways meeting room, where we'll be sharing with you guys some, general information that's not course specific. So tomorrow from 12 to 1 is going to be our teacher panel. So we'll have one teacher from each of the pathways who's going to be available. We've got a series of questions we'll be asking them so you can hear it from them. Summer Dan with the Regional STEM Center is going to talk on Thursday. We're going to talk about 2 of our core foundational topics, and then an info session on grant. And then this one's actually going to be an industry panel. So really interesting stuff. We encourage you guys to attend all of those and pay attention because they're really exciting. Second session, we'll have some slightly different ones. So if you're here for the second half, you won't have to hear the same presentations over and over again, except perhaps this one. But I think she's actually inviting someone else for here to talk about different things. So if you're not here for the second session, but you think some of these might be interesting or of value to you, we will be posting all of the recordings on this MiloNote page, so you would have access to them.
Vanessa, there's a question in the chat from Logan Planchard.
Yeah, yes, Logan, you can offer it for dual enrollment for Introduction to Engineering. So let's chat when we get back to the Introduction to Engineering room. Other general questions? No questions? I did that good of a job explaining things? Or is it still too early? People haven't had their coffee yet. All right. Well, so I think now's probably the time to send everyone to their own rooms and maybe also have a short break. So maybe like a bathroom break, water break, whatever, snack break. And you guys can report back to the classrooms that you need to go. So maybe if I could get Jesse, Fernando, Nicole, Stephen to maybe paste, or I guess it's all on the MiloNote page, right? So let's say at 9:20, if everyone could make sure that they report back to their pages where they're supposed to go. So biomedical, you can go right here. Engineering, you would go to the engineering board and connect to the appropriate class. If you're middle school, you've got your options here. Computing, you got the Zoom here. So click around, we'll stay on the call. So if you do have any questions about where you're supposed to go, we'll stay on and help you guys navigate there.